Hi there, and welcome to another video from Big Rock Audio. I'm Steve Metcalf, and this is my studio. Today we're going to start a series on one of the most boring, unromantic, but totally essential topics in recording, and that is acoustic control. In my experience, getting the acoustics right will do more for your recording and your recording studio than any piece of gear you can buy. You get more consistent results. You get more predictable placement with your microphones. You make better decisions when you're mixing. And at the end of the day, you have a space that you know is going to sound good no matter what you do, and you can focus on creativity. So over this series, I want to explain why acoustic control matters, how it works, how you can apply some of these principles to your own recording space. And I think the best way that I can do that is to tell you the story of this room and walk you through how I built it from scratch to be the place that it is. So this build was a fairly long process: planning, measuring, designing the treatments. All of the acoustic treatments are designed and built custom for this space. It was a lot of work, but even still, if I had the chance to do it again, I would absolutely do it again. It was so worth it. So now that we've established that, I think acoustic control is super important, I guess now I have to prove to you just how important it is. But before we do that, I want to talk about acoustic isolation versus acoustic control. Acoustic isolation is the idea of keeping a sound in a place or keeping a sound out of a place. And there's obvious reasons for that. If you're a drummer in an apartment building, you probably want to keep your sound in your space or you're going to get kicked out. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. That's not what this series is about. This is about the sound in the space, controlling the tone of the sound in the space. And a really great way to understand how important it is and what it is that we're dealing with is if you're talking to somebody, they're sitting next to you, everything sounds normal, it sounds fine in a typical room. You go outside, call them on the phone, they put you on speaker, and now it sounds like they have a bucket on their head. You can hear the room because that microphone has all of the direct and reflected sound arriving at the same time. So like your brain is really good at sort of sorting those things out and telling you what's direct when you're sitting next to somebody. But in a sense, you weren't able to hear the sound of the room even though it influenced you. So this is the thing. This is what a microphone hears, and because you with your own ears can't necessarily hear the room until it has a lot of echo or a lot of reverb, we want to tailor the sound of the room so that what the microphone gets is clean. Okay? So I just wonder if I change this microphone here to Omni, I wonder if we can hear any more of the room. Does the room echo come through a little bit more? I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I go to edit this video if that was a waste of time or not. But I'm going to switch that back into the cardioid pattern just because I like the way that sounds a little better. Okay, so we've got this concept that we want to control the sound in a room. That's great. But where do you start? Do you start hanging curtains, putting carpets on the wall, throwing a rug down? All of those things do affect the acoustics, but bass is trouble. But you got to start with bass. You got to deal with bass. In a small acoustic space, which is basically anything with the shortest distance, about 60 feet, you're going to have a problem with bass that you got to solve. And if you think about it, if you hit a kick drum and you have a 50 hertz sound wave, that sound wave is 22 feet long. That's big. That's massive. So when you create that sound in the space, you get a resonance. It's similar to if you blew into a bottle and you got a tone, and you add air or take air out of the bottle. You put a bit of water in there to change the resonance. The pitch goes up and down. Every enclosed space has a pitch. And so for studio acoustics, what you want to do is you want to find out what frequencies are going to be the problem frequencies. You want to target those frequencies and you want to absorb them and turn them into heat. through vibration. And so that's what we're going to cover in our first episode after this one, is how do we identify room modes, bass traps, how do we target and treat, what types of bass traps are there, where are they most effective, what ones do you buy, what ones can you build, and we'll go through that. Now for the rest of the series, I think what we're going to do is we're going to deal with reverberation time, the echo, if you will. We're going to deal with that and understand how that influences our brain and our decisions in the studio. We're going to learn how to target good reverberation times. We're going to learn about early reflections. What does that mean and how is that so important? We're going to cover absorption methodology for bass, mid, and treble. We're going to cover diffusion methodology for bass, mid, and treble. We're going to cover measurement techniques, what you're measuring for, what you're looking for, how to identify problems, and I'd like to take it to the end where we actually have our room treatment complete, our speakers in place, and we're ready to see what the final result is before we look at any kind of electronic correction. Many of you might be using Dirac or SonarWorks or something like that to try and correct for the room. And although they can alleviate some of those sounds, it's not optimal. If you, just like when you're recording a sound, if you have a sound that doesn't sound very good and you have to get on it with the EQ, you can maybe make it sound all right. You can maybe even make it sound pretty good, but it's not going to sound as good as the thing that you put the mic into and didn't touch and it sounded amazing. And so that's what we want to do with your room. We want to create your room as an amazing source, and I think that's about it. So that's what's in store for us. I'm going to try to hammer through this and try and take all this, technical sort of heady stuff and make it tangible. So episode 2 coming up, a little bit about my build and my story.